What if the best way to save a town from being swallowed by the sea wasn't to build a bigger wall, but to actually tear the old one down and let the water in? It sounds completely bonkers, right? But on the coast of West Sussex in the UK, that is exactly what they did. This is the incredible story of Medmary's radical retreat.
And that brings us to this huge, kind of mind-bending question. It really goes against all our instincts about how to defend ourselves. Is it possible that the best way to deal with a powerful force like the ocean is to just stop fighting it?
So, let's set the scene. Our story begins at Medmary. It's a beautiful but incredibly vulnerable stretch of the English coast, and for years it was facing a growing and absolutely relentless threat. The defense they had here was pretty old school, a simple seawall, basically an earth embankment, protecting all this low-lying farmland and people's homes. But this old barrier was crumbling. It was getting weaker and weaker, and the community behind it, well, they knew they were living on borrowed time.
And this right here, this really shows you the two sides of a battle they just could not win. On one hand, you've got the old approach, just build higher, keep patching it up, it costs a fortune, and it's a constant effort. But on the other side, you have this new reality. Sea levels are rising and the storms are getting way more powerful. That old rigid wall, it simply stood no chance.
So this really dire situation called for a radical new plan. Instead of just pouring more concrete and more money into a wall that was already failing, they made a decision to do something that sounds unthinkable, to strategically retreat. And this is the core idea we're talking about, managed retreat. It's not about giving up. Not at all. It's a highly planned strategic realignment. The thinking is, instead of fighting a losing war with the ocean, what if you worked with its natural processes to create a safer, more sustainable coastline?
So how exactly did they do it? Well, the whole project broke down into 4 main steps. First, they built a new, much stronger sea defense, but way further inland. Then came the big moment. They intentionally punched a hole in the old wall. This allowed the sea to pour into a carefully chosen area of farmland, creating this huge new buffer zone. And then, for the final step, they just let nature get to work.
And this, right here, is where things get really, really clever. Because by letting the sea in, they essentially unlocked nature's own powerful, built-in coastal defense system.
You see, that area of flooded farmland wasn't just wasted space. It became a massive natural shock absorber. When big storm surges came rolling in, the waves would hit this wide, shallow area, and all their energy would just fizzle out long before reaching the new inland defenses where people's homes were.
This brings us to a key scientific idea called dynamic equilibrium. Just think of it like a system finding its natural point of balance. That old rigid seawall was preventing the coast from adjusting to the rising sea. By taking it away, they allowed the coastline to reshape itself into a much more stable, balanced form that could actually handle the ocean's energy.
And what's so incredible is that this new coastline actually gets stronger over time. The sea brings in sediment, which forms new salt marshes and mudflats. These habitats are like a giant natural sponge, soaking up wave power. But even better, they trap more and more sediment, which means the land literally builds itself up, becoming an even better defense. It's a self-sustaining, self-repairing system. It's brilliant.
Okay, so did this radical experiment actually work? Well, the results have been pretty spectacular. It's created what a lot of people are calling a win-win-win scenario for everybody. So the most important outcome? Over 300 properties, we're talking homes, businesses, are now protected from the kind of coastal flooding that used to be a constant threat.
And what about that farmland they let flood? Well, it turns out, behind that new, stronger defense line, 270 hectares of valuable agricultural land are also now much, much more secure.
But the benefits didn't even stop there. By giving that land back to the sea, they created a massive new intertidal habitat. And today, that area is just teeming with life. It's become a haven for birds, fish, and countless other species. So you have this amazing triple benefit. Socially, the community is safer, and there's a huge reduction in anxiety. Economically, it's way cheaper in the long run than endlessly repairing a concrete wall. And environmentally, they created this huge, valuable nature reserve. It's a truly integrated solution. The success they had at Medmary isn't just a local story, though. It actually serves as a powerful example for coastal communities all around the world who are facing these exact same threats.
What MedMary really proves is that sometimes the bravest and the smartest thing to do is not to build a higher wall, but to think completely differently. It's a model for sustainable, long-term adaptation. It's about accepting that we can't always dominate nature, but we can be incredibly clever in how we choose to work with it.
And all of this leaves us with a pretty challenging final thought. At MedMary, they surrendered farmland to save homes. As sea levels continue to rise around the globe, this project forces us to ask a much bigger question. What other difficult choices are we going to have to make? What are we willing to strategically let go of in order to protect what matters most?